Curiosity. A force so great, most of mankind can't resist it. A certain level of inquisitiveness into, more often than not, a peculiar subject that drives the strong desire to learn about that subject. They say curiosity salted the snail, but that's an arguable saying, as curiosity also opens the mind to new possibilities and can lead to wondrous discoveries that one might not have ever thought possible or had previously overlooked. Mystery. Something considered difficult or even in some cases impossible to understand or explain. A special kind of enigma that leaves your brain contemplating possibilities and at times grasping at straws to find a conclusion to a situation or an unexplained phenomenon. There are many different kinds of mysteries, ranging from unsolved police cases or disappearances to odd occurrences like crop circles or even optical illusions. Much like curiosity, mystery is a force so great that most of mankind can't resist. However, on today's nostalgic walk down memory lane, you and I are going to meet at the intersection of curiosity and mystery as we dive deep into what transpires at the heart of the meeting of the two: conspiracy. From aliens to assassinations to even the moon landing, there are numerous conspiracies that are hotly debated, some of which have some really convincing evidence that might lead you to believe that the conspiracy might certainly bleed into truth. Recently, I've stumbled upon a specific pattern of behaviors relating to a prominent member of Nicktoons history that has led me to develop a case file stuffed tight with examples and evidence to a case so overwhelming that I can't overlook it. For far too long, this case has gone overlooked, and in this video, and the series of videos to follow it, we're gonna dive deep into cracking the case once and for all. And it all starts at the core of one of my all-time favorite Nicktoons, CatDog. At surface level, it's a simple show about a mysterious creature. A premise like that would naturally lead to a number of possible questions leading to numerous conspiracies. Some of the simple ones that come to mind would be, where did they come from? Who were their parents? Do they have any siblings? And most importantly, how did they go to the bathroom? All of those are questions commonly asked, most of which I've covered in a previous video, which I will link in the description box of this video. However, today we're looking past those simple one-dimensional questions to dig into a concept that goes really deep into CatDog lore. All of this surrounds one particularly green anthropomorphic rabbit in a blue tuxedo that goes by the name of Rancid Rabbit. But is that really his name? How much do we really know about Rancid Rabbit? Throughout the series, there's a decent amount of background given about Rancid's character, but in all reality, it still leaves room for us to question the identity of Rancid Rabbit. In this video, and the undetermined amount of videos to follow in the series, we're going to dive deep into the mind and life of Rancid Rabbit to uncover the truth about who he is. This is Cartoon Conspiracy, the Rancid Rabbit Files. Rancid Rabbit is seen in a plethora of different episodes throughout the entire run of CatDog. Throughout the series, we see him more often than not as an antagonist or an anti-hero. We see him usually doing a different job in every episode that he's in, ranging from lifeguard to doctor and everything in between. Now, the simple explanation is that maybe he just can't hold down a job, or maybe he gets bored easily and tends to move on to new jobs quickly. But the odds of that are impeccably low. Some of these jobs that he ends up getting require quite an astronomical amount of credentials to obtain. But what if I told you that it wasn't always the same Rancid Rabbit doing the same job? Would you consider the possibility that there might be more than one Rancid Rabbit? It's never addressed in the series, but there's definitely a chance that this could be the case. The odds of one single rabbit doing all of these different jobs in a rabbit's lifetime are downright impossible. However, if there was an entire family of rabbits, all of which look just like Rancid, then it could definitely be a believable probability. Now, bear in mind, it's never really revealed what breed of rabbit that Rancid is, but on average, a typical rabbit gives birth in litters of 5. In some cases, it can be as little as 1 rabbit per litter, and other cases it can be as many as 12 per litter. The average gestation period for a rabbit is 30 to 31 days, and they can get pregnant again within a few days of giving birth. Needless to say, rabbits multiply like crazy. By that logic, I know this is a rather extreme example, but if a rabbit gave birth to its litter every 30 days for a year, and it did end up having 12 each time, that would mean that in a year, a female rabbit could produce 144 baby rabbits. Not to mention the fact that a female rabbit can start to reproduce as young as 5 to 6 months in age. So before you know it, the baby rabbits will be having babies too. With that logic considered, even if it were litters of one seagull rabbit every 30 days, the odds of Rancid being the only one of his kind are extremely low. He has to have some brothers or sisters in the world somewhere, and I'm convinced that they've been right under our noses this entire time. And for the next 1 to 2 hours, I've made it my job to share with you just a portion of the evidence that I've compiled to prove that there is, in fact, more than one Rancid rabbit. And hey, even if you aren't convinced by the end, at least we get to take a nostalgic walk down memory lane and revisit some good old episodes of CatDog together. Now, really quick, I just want to say, this is going to be the start of a series that I'm dubbing Cartoon Conspiracy. I'm trying to decide which direction I want to take this series, so let me know what you think. Watch this video, let me know down in the comments below if you think I should make a part 2 of this video and take you guys further into my Rancid Rabbit research, or if you think I should move on and tackle another show with another conspiracy next. Your opinions will greatly affect what happens next in the series. Right out the gate, it only seems fitting that we check out the episode that we first saw Rancid Rabbit in, and that's going to be the Season 1 episode, All You Can't Eat. This episode is one that we've talked about in the past, but given the new light that we're shining on the episode and the different angle that we're approaching it with this time, I think it's necessary that we revisit it again. This episode starts out at Nierberg's favorite Mexican food establishment, Taco Depot, where we see the rabbit in question himself.
Welcome to Taco Depot. Dunglap. Ow! 3 things. 1, I'm the guy in the taco shell. 2, keep this place clean. My boss sometimes drops in. 3, never, ever serve that taco hog CatDog.
Aye, aye, taco shell guy.
We see CatDog outside, where Dog is staring at a no shirt, no shoes, no CatDog sign. We learn that Dog mistook the phrase all you can eat as meaning that he could literally eat it all, which got him banned from the establishment by Rancid Rabbit. Nevertheless, Dog is hopeful that Dunlap will be able to get him into Taco Depot, considering that he's an employee now. Cat begs Dog not to embarrass him again, but Dog has a plan.
Aren't you forgetting about Rancid Rabbit?
Not to worry, compadre. We're Dog Camp.
Hola, senor. May I take your order?
And a big hola to you, Dunlap.
Hey, cat. Hey, dog.
No, Dunlap, it's me, Dog. See, Cat? I told you we'd fool them. We would like the all-you-can-eat special, please.
Dunlap looks over to see his boss, Rancid, flirting with one of the patrons of the restaurant. Dunlap points them over to the buffet, and Dog takes so long to decide what he's going to eat first that he gives Rancid just enough time to catch them.
Unhand that burrito.
Hey!
How many times do I have to tell you? No shirt, no shoes, no CatDog.
Cat, I paid for food, and I didn't get food.
Cat takes this slight personally and makes it his mission to get Dog the tacos that he paid for. We see them pulling multiple scams, including pretending to be a baby and a mother, pretending to be a rug, and wearing a long trench coat as they pretend to be an old-timey cowboy, all of which end with Rancid catching them and throwing them out. They end up coming close when they decide to don the disguise of a blonde bombshell.
Just 1 bottle of your finest sparkling Mexican water, please.
Well, hello there, pretty lady.
Oh, please, you're embarrassing me.
Where have you been all my life, you quesadilla cutie you?
Dog ends up making his way through the kitchen, determined to find the taco bar, while Rancid continues to flirt with Cat.
Oh, well, it's pronounced chimichanga. Yes, can you say that? It's such a beautiful word.
Taco bar! Taco bar! Taco bar!
Nice try, but no tacos for you today.
We see Cat go flying through the restaurant at high speed, causing destruction along the way until he finally collides with Dog and makes a gigantic mess.
Only one thing more pathetic than a dumb dog. A dumb dog attached to an extremely dumb cat.
Cat, I don't feel like tacos anymore. Let's try another place.
We've paid for our food, and they refuse us service. It's plain un-American. First, they take away the tacos. Then, the chimichangas, which is a beautiful word. What next?
We see CatDog then take the upward approach as they use a grappling hook to reach the top of the restaurant, with plans to descend to the taco bar from above. Right after Cat tells Dog to lower him down slowly, Cat falls right down and bungees back up, flying through to a different part of the roof and then down into the walls of the restaurant. He creeps his way through the entire restaurant until he finds himself coming out of the socket for a light bulb. Rancid turns on the light, electrocuting CatDog and sending them flying over to the taco bar, where Dog begins to eat absolutely everything.
You're making a mess. My boss... I'm warning you.
Ahem! What's going on here?
Hey, well, Mr. Depot, what an unexpected pleasure.
Can it, Rabbit? This place is a pigsty! You call yourself a manager? Look at ya!
Having been newly promoted to manager, Dunlap tells CatDog that they can come eat there whenever they want, and the episode ends with Cat going into a food coma. This episode is one that I want you to keep in mind as we progress through the rest of this video. This is kinda gonna be our standard baseline of understanding for how Rancid is portrayed as a character. That opening scene is the first time that we see Rancid appear on screen, and it established a few things for us, as does the rest of this episode. First of all, it told us that he takes himself very seriously. He tells Dunlap that he's the guy on the taco shell, implying that he's the boss. He does so very sternly and seriously, but just that statement in and of itself is relatively hilarious. This highlights that though he does take himself seriously, he does that in a way that makes it hard for us as viewers to take him seriously. In this scene, it's implied that he's the boss and is meant to be obeyed, but his actions are that of a buffoon, which shows just what kind of boss and leader Rancid is. Another critical thing that this first scene established is just how rude Rancid can be. He's not only rude to Dunlap, but he also displays his adamant distaste for CatDog right out the gate. Digesting those main things at the beginning of the episode gave us as much info as we needed to follow this episode and the role that Rancid is going to be playing. Throughout the episode, we see Rancid playing the role of a manager at this fast food restaurant, which he does in a very unprofessional manner. He flirts with customers, he treats his employees really badly, and he bullies and belittles customers that he doesn't like. I will admit, this episode doesn't do much to prove my point, however it acts as a great basis of understanding to figure out just what kind of character Rancid is. It sets the precedent that Rancid is usually in charge no matter where he's working, and it also shows that he serves as an antagonist for the most part. Next up, we're going to check out the Season 1 episode, Flee or Die. This one starts out with CatDog at the beach, hoping to meet some pretty girls.
You really think we can meet some pretty girls, Cat?
Hey, stick with me, dog, and I'll learn you all the tricks of the trade. Step number 1 is you've got to be cool at all times. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow. Water! I'm in water! Save me, save me, save me, save me, save me!
They crash into some kid's sandcastle and he violently slams his bucket on the cat's head. Then, this happens.
How about that bathing beauty over there?
Oh, if you set your sights low enough, you're bound to score. But over there, me? Ow. Act cool and let me do all the talking.
Okay, Cat.
Cat walks up to them, and he starts smooth-talking them. They offer to let CatDog play some ball with them, but at just the mere sight of the ball, Dog ends up sprinting away, chasing it.
What the? What's all this horse-swangling nonsense? Hey, I'm talking to you, mud-butt and circus freak. Snot-nosed rat kid. Some people come to the beach to relax and take...
Jackpot! 2-for-1 special!
I come down here to get a tan once in a while. You young folks take it over.
We cut over to the veterinary office of none other than MD Rancid Rabbit.
Well, let's just see what the problem is. Oops, wrong channel.
Salutations!
Yep, you got fleas.
Fleas?
Afraid so.
But I can't have fleas.
You got 'em.
No. No one in my family has ever had fleas.
Sorry.
This is your fault.
Dog has hopes that the doc will fix them right up. Rancid tells them that the best thing to fix them is a flea dip, which Dog is super hyped about, but Cat refuses, saying that he's not going in the bath. He asks Rancid for any other options.
What do I got here? Let's see. Aha! Here we go. The Schwenker and Bachmeyer corrective flea belt.
Ooh, definitely a fashion crime. Do you have anything in seersucker?
Listen, Cat, it's either the bath, the belt, or the exit. Take your pick.
Oh, give me the belt.
We see CatDog walking down the street and getting ridiculed by literally everyone who walks by, all of them agreeing that CatDog looks funny in that belt. CatDog ended up walking past the same ladies from the beach.
They just can't resist my animal magnetism. Doggy, old boy, watch the master close the deal.
Oh, who dressed you?
What are you wearing? Your grandma's girdle.
U-G-L-Y.
Fashion experts around the country agree belts are definitely out this season. As you can see, none of our models are wearing belts. Only a total loser would wear a belt this season.
Winslow ends up coming out to talk to CatDog with his pants around his ankles because, of course, belts are out. Cat tries to tell Winslow that it's not his belt, it's Dog's belt, as he pushes the belt over to Dog's neck.
I wouldn't be caught dead wearing that belt.
But Cat, what about your fleas?
Fleas? No one in my family's ever had fleas, remember? I haven't scratched in hours!
Good thinking, Cat. Well, good luck.
Later that night, Dog is sleeping soundly while Cat is just miserable. We see him completely covered in fleas.
I'm fine, I'm good, yeah. I don't need that belt. I'm much too chic to wear that belt, really. I mean, I could steal it from Dog, but I wouldn't be caught dead wearing it. I'm fashionable. I feel fine. Fleas everywhere! I never imagined things could get this bad, did you, Dog? Dog!
Morning, Cat. Cat, are you okay?
Dog, help me. I need the flea belt. I don't care how I look.
Dog agrees to push the flea collar back over, but as soon as he does, the entire colony of fleas goes right to Dog's side. The two fight over the collar, back and forth, as fleas keep switching sides and making CatDog obnoxiously itchy. The flea belt goes back and forth until Dog decides to give up.
Cat, this is stupid. You take the belt. At least one of us should be happy.
Thank you, Dog. And you're right, it should be me. I'm glad you came to our senses.
You're the dog!
Dog? Can you hear me?
I'm okay.
Dog! Hold on, Dog, I'll save you.
Dog ends up passing out from the fleas, making it evident that their condition is far past anything that the flea belt could help with. We cut over to Rancid's office, where he's in the midst of what looks like a rather questionable procedure. He hears a knock at the door, and he goes to see who it is.
Who is it? leaping lumbago.
Help me, please. Bath. Need. Bath. See, Cat? It wasn't so bad. Now we're free.
Well, at least I don't have to wear that tacky belt anymore.
We cut on over to CatDog at the beach, where now everybody is wearing the same exact belt that they were all ridiculing CatDog for wearing. We even see the fleas themselves running by wearing the belt. The episode comes to an end with Dog questioning whether or not Cat actually knows how to pick up girls. This episode would be the second episode in the series that features Rancid, and it's the episode responsible for introducing us to the fact that Rancid's role and occupation is going to change throughout the series. But one can't help but realistically ask, did it though? Or does the episode just pull wool over your eyes trying to convince us that he changed occupations? One big point that needs to be brought up is that in the last episode, Rancid is very adamant about his hatred of CatDog. He absolutely refuses them service at Taco Depot. Granted, it was because they were trespassed from the property for eating the entire buffet, but still, he got joy out of antagonizing them. Now, if this was the same exact Rancid, don't you think his hatred of CatDog would have lingered onto this episode? In this one, it doesn't really seem as if Rancid hates them. He's not particularly nice, but he doesn't behave spitefully towards them. If he hated them, I'd imagine he wouldn't have helped them with their problem, regardless if it was financially beneficial to his business that he's running. On top of that, we need to analyze our timeline here. This episode can't be too far in the future from the last one. Neither CatDog nor Rancid look to have aged a day. However, Rancid went from manager at Taco Depot to being Rancid Rabbit MD. The timeline doesn't add up with that. According to Indeed.com, doctors are required to complete a 4-year undergrad program along with 4 years in medical school and anywhere from 3 to 7 years in a residency program to learn the specialty that they choose to pursue. That means that it takes anywhere from 10 to 14 years to become a fully licensed doctor. That would mean either A, Rancid is operating his doctor's office unlicensed, B, he completed 10 to 14 years of school between the last episode and this one, or C, this is a completely different Rancid Rabbit from the same litter as the last one. If we boil down the facts here, how differently he acts towards CatDog, the medical degree, the increased intelligence, etc., all the signs point towards option C, that this is a completely different Rancid Rabbit. Now, in Rancid's defense, sure, maybe this is the same rabbit. Let's say that the full-time manager job was just to get him through college and now he's finished with his schooling. Okay, I'll accept that for now, but try to argue that point after checking out this next episode with me. We're diving into the Season 1 episode, Dead Weight. This episode starts out with the Ingrid twins looking through a shop window as they watch none other than Rancid Rabbit interviewing someone on TV. CatDog is driving by and Cat pulls over to ogle the Ingrid twins and asks them on a date.
Welcome to Really Incredible People. In today's installment, we interview Brock Lang, airplane pilot extraordinaire.
So, my two Ingrids, would you lovely ladies like to join me for a night on the town?
Sorry, Katsi. We're going out with Brock Lang.
Yeah, he's on TV.
Cat hears Rancid say if you know someone really incredible, to give them a call. He goes right into a nearby payphone and calls Rancid personally to tell him that he should interview him.
No thanks.
No, wait, don't hang up. I have many unique talents. I'm athletic and I can juggle and I'm also attached to a dog.
A two-headed creature. Nice. We'll do the interview tomorrow.
Dog, we're gonna be on TV. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, television.
Later that night, CatDog goes to bed, and Cat stresses how important sleep is because millions and billions of eyes are going to be on them tomorrow. Dog ends up freaking out and sitting awake nearly all night until he finally falls asleep. We see Rancid and a cameraman show up at CatDog's house the next morning as Cat rolls out of bed. He tries to wake up Dog, but Dog is just so deeply sleeping that he won't even open his eyes. Cat decides to just drag him downstairs and do the interview while he's asleep. He overhears Rancid outside saying that both of them better be perky because if it don't perk, it don't work. After hearing that, Cat decides to draw some eyeballs on Dog's eyelids to try to fake the interview.
Come in and welcome to our humble abode.
Humble is right.
You must be Cat, and you must be Dog.
Well, Dog's a little shy, but don't worry, because I can do most of the talking.
Shy doesn't work on TV.
Don't mind Cat. He's such a kidder. I'm not shy.
Let's make TV magic.
Rancid starts interviewing them and asking them what it's like to be conjoined twins, merely fascinated by the fact that the two of them share a stomach. Cat uses his hands to make it look like Dog is talking, which surprisingly works for the most part, until Winslow arrives and pretty much immediately notices that Dog is sleeping, and as a result, he basically tries to sabotage them.
Cat, on the phone you were telling me how athletic you are.
Well, I don't want... Not on Sister...
Bet you've never seen a two-headed creep play catch with itself.
Why, no, I haven't. Let's see it. Is something wrong with him? He didn't catch it.
Oh, well, actually, this is how we play catch. Oh, that's a good throw, Dog.
After that, Winslow recommends that they unicycle for Rancid, which Cat begrudgingly agrees to, reminding himself that the Ingrids are watching. We see Cat unicycle through the house, causing mass destruction all along the way. He crashes outside, and then this happens.
Hey, Mr. Rancid, I've got a confession to make.
See you on TV, Cat? And then maybe we go out.
What was it you wanted to say?
TV? Oh, TV is our greatest national pastime.
Well said.
Hey, Mr. Rancid, did Cat tell you how he and Dog are champion synchronized swimmers?
What? I'm a cat. Cats don't swim.
Wait a minute. We gotta see that.
We cut over to the Nierberg pool so CatDog can show off their swimming abilities. They wrap up the interview, and as they exit the pool, Dog finally wakes up. We cut on over to CatDog's house later that night, where the Ingrids are showing up to watch CatDog's TV debut.
Welcome to Really Incredible People. Tonight, we interview a suave, debonair young lad with a relaxed, laid-back style all his own. Dog. What makes this canine so special is that he's had to overcome the horrible affliction of having a cat for a tail.
Oh, Doggy, you were so handsome on TV. We go out now. Yeah.
Yeah, people sense if you're trying too hard, you know? I just lay back, let the charisma do the work.
There's a couple things that I need to point out here. First of all, I never realized just how thirsty Cat is. Like, there's a lot of these early episodes where he's just trying to pick up women. That's completely irrelevant to the Rancid conspiracy, but it's definitely worth pointing out in my opinion. Moving on from there though, this episode was an interesting one to dissect through the lens that we're putting it under right now. Bear in mind that, chronologically speaking, this is episode 30 of CatDog. At this point, we've seen CatDog interact with Rancid at least 9 other times in the series, including the last 2 episodes that we checked out. They have an established rapport for the most part, and we know without a shadow of a doubt that Rancid knows who they are. He banned them from Taco Depot, he was their doctor, among multiple other things that he's done up this point that we haven't really checked out yet. However, in this episode, even from the moment Cat called him on the payphone, Rancid acted as if he had no idea who they were. He seemed surprised by the fact that they were conjoined twins. Then, when we get to the point where Rancid comes to their house, we see Rancid walk up and shake their hands as if he was meeting them for the first time. This would make no sense at face value. He's well aware of who they are. However, it would certainly make sense for him to be meeting them for the first time if this was a completely different Rancid than the other 2 that we've seen interact with them at this point. Furthermore, if this was the same Rancid as we saw in the last few episodes we checked out, wouldn't he be able to easily tell that Dog doesn't look and sound like he normally does? Winslow noticed that Dog was looking and behaving differently, but Rancid was under the impression that he was meeting Dog in his normal state. This can only be explained by the fact that this really was Rancid's first time meeting Dog, because this is definitely not the same Rancid Rabbit that was in the last 2 episodes we watched. I, for one, can't help but wonder how Rancid could have possibly found the time to be a TV personality between being a manager at Taco Depot and working at his doctor's office. I'm not going to dive too deep into the specifics of it because it isn't necessarily cut and dry like becoming a doctor is, but becoming a talk show host is no easy feat, especially in the early 2000s. Nowadays, anyone can start a podcast or a YouTube show and be a talk show host almost immediately. Some of them even blow up and get famous rather quickly. However, before the internet was readily available, it was no easy feat to accomplish. Most TV personalities started developing skills beneficial to broadcast TV in high school, working for AV Club and similar extracurriculars. A bachelor's degree in communications, broadcasting, or journalism wouldn't hurt either. From there, it was usually a matter of developing professional skills and creating a network that usually starts with growing on a local scale. According to Cat, this show is watched by millions and billions of people, which is obviously hyperbolized, but regardless, becoming a TV personality on a large-scale show like this is quite the endeavor. The odds of one single rabbit being able to pull that off in one lifetime while also being a doctor and a manager at Taco Depot all within the same short span of time is just improbable. This right here is as good as cold hard proof that there's more than one Rancid rabbit. But if you don't believe me, let's dive a little bit further into the conspiracy. Next up, we're going to dive into the Season 1 episode all about Cat. This episode starts out at the Theater Awards, where we see Randolph on stage in front of an audience who just loves him. We see CatDog sitting at a table in the front section as Cat fully expects his name to get called for Best Actor in a Musical.
When they announce my name, I'm going to act surprised. Good luck, Cat! Well, thank you, Dog, but it wasn't luck that brought me here today. It was my prodigious talent. Why, don't you remember? 77 years ago.
What you doing, Cat?
Oh, I'm going to be playing the lead role in the Nearburg Community Players production of Abe Lincoln Superstar.
Cat hasn't even auditioned yet, but he's fully convinced that he's going to end up being Abe in the play. Dog suggests that maybe he should try out for it too, but Cat laughs off the suggestion.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. That's just... Oh, you try... No, you can't. Only a handful of great ones are born to strut upon the stage. But, you can tag along and watch the master in action.
We cut over to the auditions, where we see Lube up on stage auditioning very unsuccessfully, and the director who's cutting him down is none other than Rancid Rabbit. Cat comes out for his audition, and Rancid is not pleased at all.
You may think I'm just a backwoods buffoon, but someday I'm going to be president of these United States. And when
Thank you. Don't call us and we won't call you. Next!
Oh, but you didn't let me finish.
Oh, trust me, you're finished. Next!
But I am Abraham Lincoln!
Not in this show, honey. Next! Stop! You! The dog attached to the cat that wasn't good. Read these lines.
Dog poorly reads the lines, and Rancid is just awestruck by how amazing Dog is.
He's real. He's raw. He's an authentic American primitive. Can you sing, dear boy?
Yeah? How's that?
Ladies and gentlemen, we found our Abe.
We cut on over to CatDog's house, where Dog is sipping on some soup and reading the script. Winslow comes out to congratulate him, and Cat just loses his mind about how happy he is for Dog. We fast forward to rehearsals for the play.
What is this cat doing on my stage? What?
He's with me.
Get rid of him!
We still need someone to play Hezekiah.
A part? I'll do it. I was born to be Hezekiah.
Yes, I'm sure you were. Congratulations. You're Hezekiah, Abe's constant companion.
Great, Cat! Now we're both in the show!
Rancid jumps right into it, saying that they're gonna do the love scene as he calls Abe's wife to the stage. Just then, Tallulah walks onto the stage and gives Dog a big old kiss, which makes Cat as jealous as he can be.
Hit it, sunshine.
You're off to Washington, D.C.
Hey, let's make some history.
Do you think it'd be weird if I grew a beard?
No, I do not. I think you look hot in Washington, D.C.
Excuse me, did someone forget their line?
Hee-haw.
We cut over to the day before opening day when we see the front of the theater read Rancid Rabbit's Abe. They do a rehearsal and Dog really blows Rancid's socks off.
Abe himself couldn't have done it better.
I could have done it better.
Tomorrow night, the world will be at your paws. Now go home and get a good night's sleep. Wouldn't want you getting sick.
That night, we see Cat open up the window and replace Dog's pillow with a block of ice as he takes a vial full of germs and pours them all over Dog. We cut to the next day where we see Dog show up to the performance literally sick as a dog.
He can't go on stage like this. Yes, I can. What are we gonna do? We're ruined.
Wait! I can play that part.
You? Donkey boy? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
No. I know all the lines. I know all the moves. And Dog can play the donkey.
I guess we have no choice. Sorry, Abe.
We get ready to start the show, and when Rancid tells Cat that there are 2,000 people watching him, Cat starts to lose his cool and panic. This comes out pretty clearly on stage.
Dog, I can't do it.
Yes, you can.
I forgot the lines.
They've got it.
That darn Cat. He's got stage fright.
I'm just a baby.
Leaving town now.
Cat then works up the courage and comes out of his shell with a little bit of help from Dog. The play goes off without a hitch for the most part. We even see a massive Abraham Lincoln puppet come out of the stage and open his realistic mouth as Cat waves to everyone through it. We then cut back to the award show that we saw in the beginning.
And the winner of the Best Actor award goes to... Cat's best friend Dog for his memorable portrayal of Hezekiah the Donkey.
Thank you. I don't know what to say. I just want to thank someone who's always been right there behind me. My close personal friend, Cat.
Now, this episode is one that I truly feel supports my case. It's one thing for Rancid to be a TV personality, a doctor, and a manager at Taco Depot, but now we're adding director to the list. From what little research I did online, it usually takes like 2 to 4 years of studying to become a theater director, but keep in mind, this Rancid didn't just seem like any old director. He kinda seemed like he knew what he was doing. It didn't seem like this was his first gig by any means. His actions would lead us to believe that he's an experienced director. Plus the fact that the show looked to be essentially sold out. There were 2,000 people in the audience. That's not the kind of turnout that you'd expect for a small town theater performance. Plus, all of the fancy stage work. They literally had a massive Abraham Lincoln head come out of the stage and go over the crowd. That's definitely not an easy or cheap endeavor by any means. Furthermore, this is yet another one of those episodes where Rancid behaves as if he doesn't know who CatDog is. They audition, and as they walk away, he calls out to Dog as, quote, the dog attached to the cat that wasn't good. Which, again, doesn't make sense if this is the same Rancid and he knows CatDog on a first name basis. We also see a similar thing happen when everyone shows up for rehearsals and Rancid asks, what's this cat doing on my stage? He should know that Cat's on the stage because he's attached to Dog. I mean, he literally pointed out that they were attached to each other at the auditions. Other than that though, I do have to point out that this Rancid kinda gives off different vibes than the others. He looks relatively different from the other Rancids we've seen up to this point, with the hat and the ears tied back. He's a huge jerk, just like the other Rancids were, but the vibe is just slightly different with this one. Moving on from there, we're going to fast forward to Season 3 and check out an episode called The Ballad of Old 159. This episode starts out with Dog chasing a garbage truck to an upbeat bluegrass song.
Will you look at that dog go? Well, howdy, I'm Pete the Polecat, your run-of-the-mill folksy ditty singing teller of tall tales. And the tale of Dog and Old 159 is about as tall as they get. Hold on now, you mean to say y'all don't know the story of Old 159? Well, it all started a long, long time ago.
We jump into a flashback where we see baby CatDog in a crib in their room and a shiny brand new garbage truck 159 shows up. Dog runs outside and this happens.
Well, well, what do we have here?
Hi, I'm Dog. This is my brother Cat.
Morning. My name's Cornelius, but folks around here call me Sunshine on account of my happy heart. That's 159. Isn't she a beaut? The very latest in garbage and technology.
Wow, you must love being a garbage collector.
Sure I do, but my real dream is to be a kid's party clown. In fact, I'm expecting a letter of acceptance into Party Clown College this very day.
Sunshine picks up the trash and drives off, and Dog's heart beats right out of his chest as he goes after the garbage truck at full speed. Sunshine sees him in his rearview mirror, and he speed runs picking up the trash to get away from Dog.
Hey, Sunshine! Got a special delivery letter from Party Clown College!
Poor old Sunshine never did know he got that letter. Life's funny that way. Never know what's around the next corner. Meantime, Dog kept after old 159.
We cut over to present times where Dog is just exuberantly waiting for the garbage truck to arrive. Cat seems oddly excited for it to arrive too, which Dog notes is out of character for Cat. Dog runs outside, but the garbage truck never arrives.
What is it?
I call it the Garbage Guzzler. Invented by yours truly to satisfy the ever-pressing need for better waste management for the great city of Nürburg.
Thought you hated Nürburg, Cat.
Whatever gave you that idea?
Well, there was the time you said, oh, I hate Nürburg, and Nürburg stinks,
Right.
and this town is awful.
Yeah, okay, all right, Dog, all right.
Cat admits that he invented it because he's tired of Dog dragging him through the streets chasing the garbage truck. We cut over to a public gathering led by none other than the rabbit in question, Rancid.
I hereby commission the Garbage Guzzler for active duty. But first, a little entertainment. The smashing of cruddy old 159.
Can't do that. I have got to save old 159.
Dog, this is ridiculous. You're making a fool out of yourself.
No, I am not. Ask Sunshine. He loves old 159.
Smash it. Let it die.
Rancid walks up asking what in Sam's spleen is going on. Dog tells him that if he wants to destroy old 159, then he has to destroy CatDog in the process, to which Rancid says,
So where's the downside? Am I missing something here? Stop him like a cockroach!
Old 159 challenges the Garbage Guzzler to a trash collecting contest. Loser collects trash no more. What's the matter, Bunny? You chicken? Huh?
What did you call me?
Chicken!
No, the other thing.
Bunny.
That's it. Nobody calls me Bunny.
We see the race start as Sunshine drives old 159 to collect the trash, while Cat controls the Garbage Guzzler, collecting his trash and the trash for old 159 in the process.
I just don't understand why it's so slow. I could never catch old 159 when I chased it back when... That's it!
Dog, you're wasting your...
The race gets pretty cutthroat as they end up neck and neck. Due to the speed of which he's operating it, Cat ends up accidentally causing a bunch of damage with the Garbage Guzzler. It ends up sucking up most of old 159, among other things.
Do you know how long it took me to grow that?
Sunshine ends up passing the finish line while the garbage guzzler crashes and explodes, releasing everything that it sucked up in the process.
I hereby reinstate old 159 to active duty.
What's this? Dear sir, we are pleased to inform you that you have been accepted into the Party Clown College.
Sunshine finally found the letter that was stuck down between the seats all those years.
You mean you knew about this the whole time and didn't tell me?
The episode comes to an end while Dog is thanking Sunshine and congratulating him on going off to clown school, to which Sunshine says he isn't. He explains that his place is here, in the garbage truck. Now, this episode is one that did something interesting to my understanding of Rancid. I'm not too sure what role he's playing here. Obviously, he's the antagonist, but what's his career in this one? If I had to guess right out the gate, I'd say maybe county commissioner, because he's talking about investing funds in this device to replace the garbage trucks. But then again, there's a chance that he could be mayor in this one, both of which are technically elected positions, so experience isn't necessarily required. However, it is essential to running a campaign that people feel comfortable supporting, unless of course you have an extremely high level of charisma. But Rancid doesn't strike me as the charismatic type, to be honest. The other thing that comes to mind would be that possibly he's the one in charge of the county's solid waste division, which could put him in charge of the garbage pickup procedures. However, if that's the case, there's a good chance he would want the garbage trucks to be in charge of picking up and not this futuristic UFO looking device. Regardless of any of that though, this is an episode that I truly feel supports the theory that there is more than one Rancid Rabbit. This job is unlike any other job that we've seen him do up to this point. This one felt like it really came out of left field. The knowledge and leadership skills required to do a job like this is just a set of skills that I feel Rancid doesn't possess. However, he seems to be successful at his job. I will admit that planning to destroy the old garbage trucks as a show for all of his spectators was rather unprofessional, as was threatening to unalive CatDog in the process, but other than that, he seemed to know what he was doing. I will say though, this is an episode where Rancid doesn't treat CatDog like he's meeting them for the first time, which would lead me to believe that this particular Rancid Rabbit has probably interacted with them in the past. This one did a pretty good job of conveying Rancid's hatred of CatDog, so there's a possibility that maybe this is the same Rancid that we saw get fired from Taco Depot, as he hated CatDog seemingly just as much as that one did. I mean, maybe after he was booted from that job, he decided to run for county commissioner. I doubt that he would be qualified for that position, but hey, I guess there's a slim chance. But honestly, I'm definitely on the side of this being a completely different Rancid Rabbit. All things considered, that option just makes the most sense. Moving on from there, we're going to check out the Season 3 episode, Fire Dog. This episode would see CatDog walking down the street when an intoxicating aroma would capture Cat's nose and lead him to the nearby firehouse. We see a man inside cooking up a batch of fish chili, which just smells amazing to Cat. Meanwhile, Dog catches sight of a big red fire truck and he starts talking about how fun it would be to be a firehouse dog. Cat tells Dog that he has it all wrong. He says they want to be a fire dog because it's the cushiest job and the firehouse's food is legendary. We cut to the interior where we see this happen.
Got any threes? Go fish. Yeah, what do you want?
We want to be firehouse dog, please.
What? Are you trying to make me laugh?
No.
Oh, good, because you're not funny. First of all, we already have a firehouse dog. And second of all, it's a firehouse dog, not a firehouse cat dog. Why, you're not even fit to mop the floor in here.
Rancid tells them that he's just kidding and that they are fit to mop the floor as he hands them a mop and bucket. Dog rejects the offer at first, but Cat tells him to go along with it so that he can get his paws on some of that fish chili. We see CatDog cleaning when Rancid calls everyone for dinner. All of the firefighters go down the pole, crushing CatDog in the process. They get in line for food, and when CatDog gets to the front of the line, they're told that chili is for firefighters only as Rancid pushes them away and gives them more duties. We cut right on over to the Greasers, who are playing hide and seek when Lube gets stuck in a tree. The Greasers call the fire department and Rancid answers the call. As they roll out to save Lube, this happens.
Lube's in the tree again. Let's roll.
Oh, can we go? Can we go? Please, can we go? Can we go?
Well, no. And when we get back, this place better be spotless. And don't even think about the chili. It's under lock and key.
Darn, we missed our big chance, and they locked up your chili.
Cat says that there hasn't been a safe invented that can keep him out, but then this happens.
Dixie, I'm taking you out of the starting rotation.
No, you can't do that. I still got plenty of good milk left in me.
Sorry, I'm sending you to the bullpen.
I was a top milk producer for years, and this is the thanks I get. Where's the loyalty?
Just as Cat gets entry to the safe and goes to take a bite of chili, the alarm goes off for the fire and Dog springs into action, rushing them to the farm.
Hey, Tom, I'll save you! Useless cat! We can't help! Oh, the humidity!
Cat pep talks Dog and tells him that they can do this. They just have to stay calm. They find a nearby fire hydrant as Cat talks Dog through getting it open and getting the water flowing.
So, water, we meet again.
Come on, cat, hurry! I smell hamburger!
Do it for the cows, do it for the cows, do it for the cows. If this works, I better be getting free milk for the rest of my life. You ready?
Rancid ends up pulling up and he gets mad at CatDog for not being at the fire station.
What are you doing here? You're supposed to be back at the firehouse cleaning up.
We were, but duty called.
We got a call from duty.
You're fired! Which reminds me, have you seen a fire around here?
About this big, very hot. Oh, you saved our lives!
You saved my farm. Let's hear it for CatDog. Hooray!
Okay, maybe you're not fired.
We see Rancid recognizing CatDog for their extraordinary courage and he gives them medals.
Listen, Chief, you know what I'd really like is some of that sweet firehouse fish chili.
Oh, what the heck. It's probably gone bad by now anyway.
Hi-ho diggity!
Hey, that's my catchphrase.
Finally, the holy grail of chili. What do you think?
Needs hot sauce.
Oh, now, careful, Dog. I mean, you better not. Whoa!
The episode ends with CatDog running away after burning Rancid to a crisp and lighting the firehouse ablaze. This episode was great and all, but I'm full-blown struggling to comprehend what they're expecting us to believe here. You're telling me that not only is Rancid a manager at Taco Depot, a doctor, a theater director, and a talk show host, but now he's a fire chief as well? Do you have any idea how long it takes for someone to work their way up to fire chief? Literally, it's an extremely long process. Just the process of being certified to be a paid paid full-time firefighter is a long process in and of its own, let alone working your way up to duty officer or chief. It's just inconceivable. There's literally no way one single rabbit is doing all of these things. It's extremely unlikely, and I'm telling you right now, there has got to be more than one Rancid rabbit just based off of these different careers highlighted so far. Furthermore, I have to point out, being a firefighter is a brave job. You have to be able to face a burning building with no fears or convictions. You have to be able to plan and strategize. You have to be able to act and react. It's a huge responsibility. However, looking back on the episode where Rancid is a theater director and he puts on that production of Abraham Lincoln, we see him packing his bags and running away when Cat gets stage fright because he's terrified of how the audience is going to react. Now, it's clear that they did that for comedic effect, of course, but you're telling me that that same rabbit who was running away in fear from a crowd of theater fans is the one who's showing up to fight a barn fire? Extremely unlikely if you ask me. Personally, I'm not buying it. On top of that, if one single rabbit is doing all of these jobs, it's indescribable how much talent is being wasted on jobs such as fast food manager or talk show host. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to put down fast food managers or talk show hosts by any means, but the amount of education, talent, and bravery that's required to be a fire chief or even a doctor is just incomprehensible. I can say with full confidence that there's no way the Rancid rabbit seen in this same episode is the same one that we saw in the first episode we looked at. But if you don't believe me, that's fine. Up to this point, it's been mostly speculation based on careers that the different Rancid rabbits have held, but next up, we're going to tackle some episodes that I would say are more closer to concrete proof to show once and for all that there is, in fact, more than one Rancid rabbit. The next episode we're going to look at is the Season 3 episode, Silence Please. This episode starts out with CatDog sitting on their couch paying bills. They're writing checks and putting them in envelopes with bills and stamping the letters and everything. When Dog eats a bill and a stamp, saying that he does that pretty regularly, Cat gets angry, saying that it's no wonder why the city's threatening to kick them out of their house, as they have no money and don't pay their bills. Just then, CatDog starts to lose their voices.
And now I'm losing my voice!
That's weird. Me too.
We interrupt whatever drivel you've been watching for this bulletin. Nürburg is in the grips of two epidemics. First, everyone is going colorblind. And we're also getting laryngitis. Everyone's losing their voice. Soon the whole town will be silent.
After that, this episode kind of turns into a silent film. There's a knock at the door, and we see none other than Rancid Rabbit at the door, demanding that CatDog pay their bills or else they'll be evicted. Cat goes to get their money jar from on top of the fridge, but he's upset to find it empty, as we learn that Dog spent all of their emergency money on a fire hydrant that he saw a TV ad for. We fast forward to them on the street, working an apple stand, trying to make money, when this happens. We see CatDog running, pushing their apple cart while the greasers are in hot pursuit. Cat pours out some apples on the ground and makes the greasers fall. Just then, this happens. As Cat decides to give the money back, we see the robbers get home and they're angry when they pour apples out of their sack that's supposed to be full of money. We cut back over to CatDog at the bank trying to give the teller the money that they found, when the teller mistakes them for the robbers. Cops start chasing them and they end up in a foot pursuit with both cops and the greasers chasing them. They get chased up a building and this happens. CatDog, as well as the cops and greasers, end up getting flung onto a train when the trucks that they're on come to a screeching halt. Dog ends up trapping them all on the train as they jump off. Just then, they stumble upon a woman that's being tied onto train tracks by a bandit-looking guy. Cat springs into action to save her, but we learn that they're actually part of a movie being filmed. Just after that, CatDog thinks that the coast is clear, but then the robbers show up, confronting them looking for their money. As CatDog attempts to flee, they end up falling off of a bridge down into water below. Things escalate further, and they basically end up running all over the state, being pursued by the greasers, the cops, and the robbers. Eventually, everyone catches up to them. Thankfully, the cops end up apprehending the robbers, but the greasers end up pounding CatDog, and this happens. At one point, the house ends up falling and everyone gets caught in a giant avalanche of a snowball. The snowball crashes right into the bank where things finally start to go CatDog's way. CatDog ends up right where they started, sitting at home in front of the TV. The doorbell rings, and as they go to answer it, the color blindness and laryngitis goes away.
Doesn't this bonehead have anything better to do? Oops!
Cat, you can talk! I can talk! We can both talk! Uh-oh, the mean old rabbit man can talk too.
Excuse me.
Please don't take our house away. We'll get you the money. We promise, please, please.
Who cares about your house? I've got a big boxing match tonight, and I was hoping that you could lend me some hand cream because boxing really dries out my skin.
What did he say?
What did you say?
What are you guys saying?
This just in. The color blindness and laryngitis epidemics are over. Make way for the big ear infection epidemic.
The episode ends on that note with everyone being deaf from the ear infections. Now, this episode just scratches the surface of our concrete proof, but I still consider it to be as such. In this episode, Rancid is portrayed to be what I assume to be their landlord. He's showing up because they haven't paid their bills. I guess there's a chance that he's a bill collector on behalf of the city, but he isn't in any official clothing or anything like that, which would point towards him maybe being more of their landlord. However, even if he isn't their landlord, Cat talked about how the city is threatened to kick them out of their home, which would indicate that Rancid has probably come knocking on their door before. I could sit here all day and talk about how it's improbable that Rancid could be doing this job too, but that's obvious at this point. However, I will say that it seems impossible that Rancid would be either their landlord or the regular bill collector, and neither of them would know his name. When he arrives, Dog refers to him as the big mean rabbit guy. This wouldn't make sense if they've interacted with him in the past. Furthermore, we've seen Rancid in multiple episodes at this point act like he doesn't know who CatDog is. However, as proven by this episode and the one where Rancid is the manager at Taco Depot, he clearly knows their name. Especially if he's their landlord, he's obviously going to know the name of the tenants living in the house that he owns. We also have to talk about that plot twist at the end though, when Rancid reveals that he's just there to borrow some hand cream to soften his skin for a boxing match that evening. First of all, I can't imagine Rancid being a boxer, but also I guess we're adding that to the list of jobs that Rancid has held. Sure, maybe he's an amateur boxer, but that also kind of piggybacks off the point made in the last episode we looked at. You're telling me that the guy who isn't afraid to get in the ring and duke it out was afraid of a crowd of upset theater fans when Cat was getting stage fright? The only feasible possibility, in my opinion, would be the fact that this isn't the only Rancid rabbit. Next up, we're going to jump on back to Season 1 and dive into an episode that gives a little bit of history that might back up the idea that there is more than just one Rancid. This is going to be the episode called Nefertiti. This episode starts out with CatDog sitting at a bus stop when the bus drives by and it just covers Cat in mud as it pulls past them. We cut to them at home and this happens.
You know, Dog, it wasn't always like this. In the old days, cats were revered, respected, treated like royalty.
You're so funny, Cat. You're a comedian.
All right, fine, I'll prove it. A little history lesson, dog.
Cat proceeds to tell Dog a story of ancient Egypt. We see Cat dressed as royalty as Dog feeds him and waits on him hand and foot. As Dog goes to prepare Cat's manicure, this happens.
How's a pharaoh supposed to rest in peace when his own tomb is in pieces? Spread out!
Oh, master! Oh, now come on now, Pharaoh. You're fit as a fiddle. You'll be with us for a good long time.
Royal Cat. You do love me, don't you? Yes, you do.
Pharaoh Rancid tasks Cat with making sure that the slaves get to work on his tomb. Cat calls the slaves over, who are the ancestors of the greaser dogs, but instead of commanding them to work on the tomb, he tells them that he wants to go sandboarding as they row a boat through the sand while Cat holds onto a rope behind it.
Royal Cat, how come I always have to be on the bottom? I mean, couldn't we take turns?
Take turns? Oh. That's priceless. Oh, thank you, slave dog. Oh, I needed a good laugh.
I'm serious.
Look, slave dog, we've been over this 1,000 times. It's the royal order of things. I'm in my place, and you are in yours.
We cut to modern times where we see Cat just crying his eyes out because this is, in his opinion, the best story ever told. Dog doesn't believe him, so he passes Dog the book and makes him read it. We resume the story where it left off, with Dog catering to Cat's every last whim. Just then, Winslow's ancestor shows up, and this happens.
Ah, it doesn't get much better than this.
Maybe it does, if you catch my drift.
What are you talking about, sand rodent?
Don't you get it? Once the pharaoh kicks, somebody's gonna have to run the show.
Well, sure, but of course. I've got the noble bloodlines, the regal demeanor. Ooh, Pharaoh Cat.
Pharaoh Rancid calls the royal cat over, asking him why it's taking them so long to finish his tomb, saying that once it's finally done, he'll finally be able to take the forever sleep. Cat then takes his duties seriously as he commands the slaves as well as Dog to get work done on the tomb. Dog ends up pushing massive stones while Cat lounges behind him. Meanwhile, the slaves perform back-breaking labor in an effort to finish the pyramid.
I did it! Me! By myself, with these bare hands! I built the pyramid all alone. I am a leader. I am a ruler. I am king. I am Pharaoh.
With the pyramid finished, we see Cat approach the great Pharaoh Rancid. At that exact moment, he drops dead and all of the slaves show up to mummify him. Cat mourns for all of 10 seconds, then he calls the slaves over to put Rancid into his sarcophagus and to make him look spiffy for his coronation as the new pharaoh.
Now, let's give a great big fertile crescent welcome to your new pharaoh, me!
Me, Rancid Hotep II.
Look, Rancy, there's got to be some mistake.
Oh, there's no mistake. You're going into the tomb with my uncle, along with all his other possessions. Would you do the honors?
Oh, with pleasure.
With great pleasure!
With them.
No, you can't do that. Cease and desist.
Cat decides that this is the worst story ever told as he decides to stop reading, but Dog says that it gets worse as he insists that Cat keep reading.
Let me out of here! Let me out! Slave dog, I command you, let me out now!
Sorry, Royal Cat. It's like you said. You have your place, and I have mine.
Okay, if this episode doesn't confirm my theory, I'm not sure what will. This episode takes place roughly near 3000 BC, I assume, based on when the pharaohs ruled over ancient Egypt. We see ancestors of all of our main and side characters in this episode. But more importantly, we see not only one, but two of Rancid Rabbit's ancestors. First, we see the really old version of Pharaoh Rancid, as he prepares to pass away and give on the throne to his successor, but then we see who's next in line, none other than Pharaoh Rancid II. This second pharaoh is damn near identical to the first one, but just younger. This right here is concrete proof. Both of these rabbits existed not only at the same time, but obviously in the same place. Pharaoh Rancid II referred to Pharaoh Rancid I as his uncle, but regardless, they were damn near identical. This says a lot. They weren't brothers, they weren't father and son, they were literally uncle and nephew, and even then, they were pretty much identical. Let me ask you this, do you know anyone who looks identical to any of their aunts and uncles? Personally, I don't, but here's my point. Their family looks pretty much identical, meaning that there is probably many members of their family and they all probably look pretty much the same. Furthermore, the original pharaoh was named Rancid, and his nephew who inherited the throne was also named Rancid. Now, either Pharaoh Rancid II's father named him after his uncle Rancid, or all of the rabbits from their family are named Rancid, which at this point feels more likely of a scenario. This episode proves a number of things. Not only is there multiple Rancids existing at the same time in the same place, but his family has been doing this for millennia now, according to this episode. Now, tell me, if there was multiple Rancids back then, why wouldn't there be multiple Rancids nowadays? Of anything, their family ancestry would have multiplied plentifully by now. Honestly, after seeing this episode, I'm more convinced than ever that there's more than one Rancid rabbit. But honestly, I feel like we're still scratching the surface, as there's still 2 more episodes we're going to check out that provide even more concrete evidence than what we've seen here. Next up, we're going to check out the Season 3 episode, Back to School. This episode starts out with CatDog sitting at the table eating breakfast. Cat is reminiscing on the good old days as they prepare to go to their high school reunion tonight.
Our old yearbook. Oh, Dog. That was the best time of our... Sally Chenille! Oh, Sally. Sally. Tonight we shall rekindle our romance. She had quite a crush on me, you know.
I thought you had the crush on her.
Yeah.
Cat pulls out their high school diploma, and Dog points out that Cat's name isn't on it. Cat assumes that it must be a mistake, and they go over to the school to visit the principal to correct the record.
Sorry, Whiskers. According to our records, you never graduated. And if you didn't graduate, you can't go to the reunion dance.
What? My big night! The rekindling with Sally! I have to go!
Hey, you didn't finish your last day of school. If you want to graduate and go to the dance, you have to go back to school for 1 day.
Go back to school?
For 1 day?
Cat decides that it might not be too bad, and he goes back to Nearburg High for his final day of school. Cat tries remembering back, saying that he doesn't recall missing his last day of school. We see Cat walk into science class super excited.
Look, Cat! It's Shriek's little niece, Squeak.
What are you looking at? Here, bull brat!
And isn't that Lube's nephew?
Well, if it isn't the bicranial quadruped commonly known as CatDog.
Are you sure you're related to Lube?
Ow!
Hey, Cliff's nephew Biff is here too.
I don't remember school being like this.
We see CatDog playing around with chemicals when Dog causes a massive explosion. We cut over to English class, where the teacher is the girl from Cat's high school days that he had a crush on. In class, we see Dog fooling around and piling books on his nose, while Cat is writing up a note that he plans to have Dog pass to the teacher.
Dog, pass this note to Sally.
Yo, Sally! Here you go, TG!
Cat, passing notes is forbidden. Read it out loud.
Roses are red, violets are blue. Can't wait till we dance at the reunion tonight, my little Gizzy. Oh.
Cat melts in front of all of the kids laughing at him. After class gets out, Cat starts hitting on the teacher and she says that her boyfriend, the gym teacher, probably won't like that. Next up is lunchtime, where we see Cat getting bullied by everyone.
Mind if I join you?
Indeed we do. We're nerds, not losers.
Oh, thank you for that.
Hey!
Who started this? Who?
No. School was never like this.
The bell rings and we see Cat scared as he goes to gym class. We learn that Cliff is the gym teacher and that today is the day of the big physical fitness test. As part of the test, everyone needs to climb the rope and ding the bell that's at the top.
I had a feeling this was going to be very entertaining, so I invited someone very special. Come here, baby cakes. Oh, and one more thing. Cat's gotta do it by himself. No help from you. Now climb.
Go on, Cat. You can do it.
Well, I'll try.
Cat starts climbing the rope as he struggles along the way. He makes it about a couple feet up before plummeting to the ground. At this exact moment, that's when we learn why Cat didn't graduate high school.
Ha ha ha. Loser! Cat is a loser!
This seems very familiar.
Dog did it! Heck, my son Cliffy did it with one paw!
Loser!
I can't do it.
Cat ends up crying and calling himself a loser as everyone puts him down. Dog gives him a little pep talk, telling him that he deserves the diploma. This gives Cat the energy that he needs to make it to the top. Cat makes it all the way up and rings the bell with his tongue before plummeting down on top of Cliff.
Wow!
Big deal. Here's your diploma. Vinny, climb up there and clean the bell.
How about you pick me up for the dance at 7?
Meow!
As Cat drives up to the dance with Dog and his crush, everything seems absolutely perfect until police lights flare up and this happens.
License, please.
But weren't you just... Whoa, didn't you used to...
License! This is only good for Dog. Looks like you were one day short of getting your driver's license, buddy.
What?
I knew you were a loser.
Okay, this episode is just about as close as we can get to concrete proof that there's more than one Rancid rabbit. So far, we've seen Rancid take on the role of a talk show host, a Taco Depot manager, a play director, and even a doctor, but now he's not only a high school principal, but also a police officer. That's literally impossible. There's no way that one rabbit could do all of these things at once. Do you have any idea how long it takes to become a principal? It's no easy feat by any stretch of the mind. According to Drexel University, the School of Education, you need a 4-year degree and a teaching certificate. Then, usually after a few years of teaching, prospective principals begin working on the additional education required to be certified to be a principal, which generally requires an applicant possessing master's degree. The amount of time required to become a principal is ridiculous, and on top of that, it takes a really long time to become a police officer as well. We're talking a long and rigorous hiring process, complete with psych eval and physical fitness eval, as well as police academy and many months of on-the-job training. It's definitely a timely investment. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's impossible to be a teacher and a cop at the same time. My welding teacher in high school was also a police officer, so I can firsthand attest to the fact that it is possible. However, being principal and a cop is definitely quite the stretch. Also, if we consider all the other jobs that this single rabbit has allegedly held, honestly, after seeing this episode, I can nearly say without a shadow of a doubt that there's definitely more than one Rancid rabbit. There's absolutely no plausible way that Rancid is the only green rabbit in Nürburgring. There's far too much evidence to support the contrary of that idea. Now, if you aren't convinced yet, you definitely will be after you see this next episode. We're taking a look at the Season 2 episode, Hail the Great Meow Wolf. This episode is what I would consider to be the actual set-in-stone proof that there is more than one Rancid. In the beginning, we see CatDog outside. Cat's lounging and reading a book while Dog is crafting himself a kite. Dog lifts the kite up in the air and it catches some air and flies off, as Cat points out that Dog forgot to tie a string to it.
Oh, yeah. Well, at least you had fun, right? And that's the most important.
Dog chases the kite until he reaches the ocean, and he grabs hold of it as the kite flies them off into the distance. We cut to a remote island with a temple that resembles that of the Mayans.
Nice offerings. Keep up the good work. I love being worshipped.
We're gonna crash right into that.
After crashing into the massive effigy of Rancid, it crumbles into a million pieces while the villagers stand about looking dumbfounded. Cat apologizes, but then this happens.
All hail the great Meow Wolf.
All hail the great Meow Wolf. Gee, Cat, the natives still out for Henry.
I get it. Dog, they obviously think we're some kind of gods.
Oh, all right, sorry everybody, but our name is CatDog, and
Yes, it is us, the great Meow Wolf. The line for autographs starts on the left now. No pushing, please.
We cut over to Rancid, who is sleeping in his hut, while the villagers show up to deliver the Great Meow Wolf to their new home. Rancid confronts them, saying, "What's the big idea?" as the villagers remove him from the hut.
My statue!
Yep, there's a new big shot in town, namely us. The great Meow Wolf.
We see Rancid going deep into the woods as he comes upon a mysterious secret cave that he calls the Cave of the Ancients.
In case of emergency, break grass. Ancient magic herbs. This ought to fix their wagon.
We cut back over to CatDog, who are being waited on hand and foot. Cat is milking it for everything that it's worth, while Dog is trying to convince him that they should get out of there. Rancid comes up to confront them, carrying the bag of magic herbs. He challenges them to see whose magic is stronger to determine the ruler of the village.
Watch carefully. Nothing up my sleeve. And...
magic.
Bah, nothing but a cheap parlor trick. Behold true magic, left to me by my royal ancestor. I shall transform that lizard into a fierce dragon.
After some time, the magic finally kicks in and the lizard turns into a giant dragon as she breathes fire, destroying the hut on top of the temple. Just as quickly as she turned into a dragon, she turns back into a normal lizard and everyone is in awe over the magic that Rancid just did. Rancid then challenges the Great Meow Wolf's ability to fly as we see this happen.
Okay, look, we're flying. Look at us, flying like a bird. Whoa, I'm getting dizzy.
That's not flying.
Well, what did I tell you? The Great Meow Wolf is a great big fake.
that Rabbit speaks the truth.
Having turned everyone against them, Rancid commands everyone to chase CatDog. CatDog ends up swinging on a vine and they crash into a banana tree, leaving them covered in bananas. Rancid and the rest of the villagers catch up and he ends up puffing his magic herbs at them to transform them.
I told you we were going to get into trouble, Cat!
Yeah? Well, if you hadn't made us chase that stupid kite...
Don't come on, Kite, stupid!
What?
You're stupid!
Oh, stupid kite! Stupid kite! Stupid kite! Stupid kite!
The villagers chase CatDog until they reach the ledge of a massive cliff. Just then, conveniently, Dog's kite flies by and he grabs it and it takes them off of the island.
Come back here, Meow Wolf. The great Rancid commands you.
Smooth sailing from now on, Cat.
Yep. So long, suckers!
Nothing better than a fresh sushi sandwich.
Yeah, well, just go easy on the sand.
After crashing into them on the beach, the greasers end up pounding CatDog as the episode comes to an end. There's no doubt that this episode is crucial to proving my point and confirming my theory. Throughout this episode, we would see CatDog starting out in Nierburg, in present day, as they're swept away by the wind and taken to a faraway secluded island. Then, on that island, they meet a tribe of villagers and none other than Rancid Rabbit, who's the leader of these villagers. This is another one of those episodes where he doesn't call them by their name. The entire village just knows them as the Great Meow Wolf, and that's what Rancid calls them. If this was the same Rancid who knows them already, he would probably have at least called them by their name and questioned what they're doing there, but yet again, it was as if they were meeting Rancid for the first time. Now, truly, you have to acknowledge that the odds of one single Rancid Rabbit from Nierburg being on this remote island, that mind you is seemingly untouched by modern humans, is little to none. There's a snowball's chance in hell that there is only one Rancid Rabbit, and that one single Rancid Rabbit is now on this random island. It just wouldn't make any sense. This episode is the one surefire without a doubt time that I can definitively say that it's definitely a case of there being more than one Rancid Rabbit. And you know what? Sure, if you don't want to accept the fact that there's more than one Rancid Rabbit in Nierburg, fine, you don't have to. But you can't sit there and say that this Rancid Rabbit is the same exact one that we see in just about every other episode, because clearly it isn't. And on that note, at least for the time being, I rest my case. But I gotta ask, what do you think? Did I change your mind? Are you convinced that there's more than one Rancid Rabbit? Let me know in the comments down below. I always love reading your guys' feedback. Also, let me know if you'd like to see a part 2 of this video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and give praise to the great YouTube algorithm in hopes that it pushes this video to everyone else. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Get along, gotta walk together, gotta sing this song. CatDog, CatDog. Alone in the world is a little CatDog. CatDog, CatDog, CatDog. Alone in the world.